Welcome in, everybody. It is Friday, June 5th, 2026. It is the new episode of Not So Young Lions here on bodyslam.net's social media, YouTube pages. I'm your usual host, as always, Max Enberg, joined by, of course, the one and only Mr. Blackhawk Walker is joining me as always. We took, I think, 2 weeks off, but we're back ready to rock and roll. Perfect timing, honestly. We're heading down the literal home stretch of Best of the Super Juniors. We got the finals on Sunday. We have Dominion the following Sunday. Forbidden Door 2 weeks after that. So we're going to have a lot of things to talk about here on the podcast today. But Blackhawk, first, tell us how you're doing and how you've been the last couple of weeks here.
I've been doing all right. Been working a lot.
Yeah.
And I think we're finally at a point where I can get back to a normal schedule. So thankfully we should be back weekly after this. So I'm looking forward to the finale for Best Super Juniors. We're looking forward to Dominion. Dominion is shaping up to be an incredible show. And there's a lot of things for Forbidden Door. Especially with how things on Dynamite went this week. The Owen is going on, and there's a lot of Stardom influence in the Owen right now. A lot of talks of Stardom on AEW, so we could be in for a legendary Forbidden Door this year.
Yeah, Tekla burying Stardom on Dynamite. Stardom will be a big topic because we're going to be talking about the ownership change at New Japan, and now Stardom has the only owners who are not running the other Japanese pro wrestling companies. We're going to talk about Stardom as it compares to New Japan. So today here on the podcast, as I said earlier, we're going to be breaking down some of our favorite people. I think we're going to shout out some wrestlers we thought had a really good Super Juniors. And Blackhawk does all of his star ratings, so I want to lean on Blackhawk for telling me his favorite matches, or for his eyes, the best matches of the tournament, because he goes to all the matches, gives star ratings, and I think he's the right person to lean on for that. But I'll be breaking down some of my favorite performers of the tournament. We're going to give our predictions for that final between Fujita and Yo on Sunday. Because next week we'll wrap up our Super Junior talk and then also really do a full-on just Dominion preview show next week. But before we get into talking about the ownership change, guys, in New Japan, because that was one of the biggest stories in pro wrestling this week. Again, if you're following us across all of our social media platforms, please do so. I'm going to link our YouTube right now in the comments at the moment, or not in the comments, on the stream here. Please follow us across all of our social media platforms. Currently, we are live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. We appreciate everyone joining us here as usual at 6 o'clock on Fridays. This is our time every single week. Hit that like button wherever you can. I see it on the top right when you guys like it. I'll pull it up for you guys. Really appreciate all the support you guys give us. If you're watching on YouTube or anywhere where you have a comment section, you can definitely comment away, and Blackhawk and I will be reading your comments out loud. Join a discussion with us. Don't have to pay for it. You can just talk, and we'll join you in the comments. But we have a pretty jam-packed show today, so let's just break down the overall, one of the biggest stories in pro wrestling this week, which is the ownership change at New Japan. Basically, out of the blue, Bushiroad, who's been overseeing New Japan for the last 14 years, said that they've officially come to an end and now are transferring all of its shares to TV Ashi and Cyber Agent. Tanahashi made a statement about it this week. Stardom is not included in this. TV, if you're not familiar, Cyber Agent, which is one of the companies now running New Japan, they own Pro Wrestling Noah, DDT, and Tokyo Joshi Pro. Something that's not part of that consolidation is Stardom, which is going to be continually owned by Bushiroad. That's why Stardom and New Japan have always been very much tied together, because they're owned by the same company. That's no longer the thing, though. The president of Stardom, of course, Taro Okada, did say on social media that the two promotions, New Japan and Stardom, will still work together moving forward. This is a pretty big deal. Also, it was announced for basically non-American viewers. You were allowed, at least in Japan, all the AEW shows were on New Japan World. That is also no longer the case after this month. So you can, if you're in Japan, I think a big part of that streaming service was not just watching New Japan, but also watching Dynamite and Collision and the pay-per-views. That's no longer going to be the case. So what are your thoughts? I guess that was a lot of announcements into one, but what are your general thoughts, Blackhawk, on Bushiroad moving on from New Japan?
I think one of the starter things I want to talk about and get this out of the way is the My AEW. I feel like people knew that was coming.
Yep.
I think it was just a combination of the two hit on that.
Yep.
I feel like that one, people have been talking about, My AEW for the last couple of months and what that's going to look like. They should have expected that all the AEW stuff would be moved off of New Japan regardless of the sale.
Sure.
But it is kind of a shocker right after knowing or finding out that the company is got sold. But I've seen a lot of people that are upset about this. I'm not as upset. I think Cyber Agent does a really good job with DDT. They do a really good job with Noah. They do a really good job with TJPW. And they don't have a majority ownership. Also, I think a lot of people will miss that part.
Yep.
They only own 45% of New Japan. And so it's not majority. They just have probably most of the streaming rights and most of the TV rights and everything like that. Everything else was probably falling under New Japan leadership. So I'm not as upset about it. I would not hate having New Japan move over to Wrestle Universe because I personally love Wrestle Universe. I think it's one of the better streaming platforms out there, just in general. And so I would not hate having them move over there, but I'm not upset about it. A lot of people were talking about monopolies and all kinds of things like that. And as I did more research into how TV works in Japan, I don't think it's a monopoly. TV Ashi and Cyberfight do a lot of sports. They're that's their thing is sports. And so it makes sense that, professional wrestling would land under sports. So I don't think it's a crazy monopoly. There's only 5 or 6 TV providers in Japan.
Yeah.
So it's not even they all kind of split pretty evenly wise among, what they're showing. But yeah, a lot of the sports end up with TV Ashi.
Yeah.
So I'm not upset about it, but what are your thoughts on it?
I think it's an interesting one. Also, the deal is it's valued at the reports are it's a $23 million investment for Cyber Agent and TV Ashi, who again are they're not the overwhelming. They're combining for 70% now running the company. Very important to note as well. Cyber Agent is losing WWE program currently in Japan because it's going completely to Netflix by the end of the year. So there again, it's another. I think it's a weird spot. A lot of the reports where they haven't been happy with, I think, and we talk about this a lot with evaluating the product. 2019 onward has been a rapid decline for the company. AEW, everyone just says, well, they took all of their top stars, but now it's not just that, sure, at the time they took people like the Young Bucks and Cody and Omega and a lot of those guys out of New Japan, but really became New Japan was giving away really the second best money offers to people who are not inside WWE. And the problem became when AEW came along, New Japan has really fallen down the totem pole as it pertains to contracts. We've heard some low numbers for a lot of people who work for New Japan. And it used to be pretty expensive. Jericho would work once or twice there, get paid a lot of money to work New Japan shows. And then it was not 10 years ago, they were competitive. They were basically the second best contract company, I would say, outside of WWE. They were awarding some pretty big contracts. And I think that has changed really since 2019. They haven't been offering these unbelievable contracts. They have not been selling out or doing the most amazing business. Look, for example, this year, they had probably their most successful Tokyo Dome event of all time. They have not really capitalized on that from a business perspective post Wrestle Kingdom. They're still running these 3,000 to 5,000 seat arenas. They're barely filling up half the time. So you would think after selling whatever it was, 60,000 people, right, that they would capitalize and really become a big thing again. But they're kind of back to where they were before that show, which is kind of middle of the road. You know, I'm interested in the new booking. I think Tanahashi's retirement has hurt the company from an in-ring Tanahashi has really hurt because they don't really have those bookable, notable stars at this point. They're going for this youth movement, but it took them so while. It took them a long time to pull the trigger on some of these young guys that now they're getting a push, and they should have been getting these pushes when a lot of these oldies, as they say, were going towards the end of their careers. So I think it's a fascinating thing. I think the only thing I hope for if this is the new company is I do hope there's more money now in play to offer wrestlers. That's what I want. I want New Japan to be competitive again in pro wrestling free agents. I can't remember the last time I was like, whoa, this person's in New Japan. Like that just doesn't happen anymore. The last time was like Nick Nemeth. I think that was like 2 years ago when he was working like the first half of the year in 2024 in New Japan. That was 2 years ago. Usually when people come back to New Japan, it's like ex-AWWE guys who get released and they just go back to New Japan because that's where they were before. I think that's going to happen to Jeff Cobb very soon. I just want more competitive salaries for the guys working there. I'm interested because I don't think they're going to get rid of New Japan World. It is such a valuable money. It kind of is the driving moneymaker for them. I don't think they want to consolidate that with the other companies. Even though, as you said, I like New Japan World and you're a Wrestling Universe guy. I do think they're going to keep it separate because I do think they see New Japan as, again, the number one thing. I don't think they want to put that with the other ones. I am fascinated what happens with Stardom moving forward. Does this hurt their relationship? Because now they're underneath the same umbrella as Tokyo Joshi Pro. So does that become now a new relationship partner for them? I'm fascinated in it because as of now, they're still going full steam ahead on Stardom. New Japan, for that Forbidden Door element is not changing. Obviously, we're like a month away, so I don't think they would you can't use these people now. But I'm really fascinated in the money perspective. Is this new ownership going to put more money into it and say, hey, we're going to be more competitive with wrestling salaries? That's kind of what I care about. I think there's a lot of people out there who just aren't going to be used to, because again, I've been watching New Japan since the time that Bushiroad bought it. So they're really the only owners I know running the company. Because 14 years ago was what, 2012. So yeah, so basically literally since I started watching the company, it's been owned by this single company. So I totally get fans being feared. Of course, whenever there's any company, sports, wrestling, any business, I think change in ownership, especially this big, which is 70% of the shares of the company going to these two new companies, of course, it's going to be scary and different, and it's very much the unknown. Even with them owning these other companies does not tell you how they're going to run New Japan. That's a wholly different ballgame. Tanahashi's still going to be the guy running things from a business perspective. Gato was still going to be booking the show. I don't think those things are changing with this ownership change as well, Blackhawk.
Yeah. The day-to-day things probably won't change at all.
Yeah.
We're still going to get, Gato booking and Tanahashi in the big office. But yeah, it'll be interesting to watch and see how they move forward. This kind of happened, but pre a lot of Best of Super Juniors, there hasn't been a lot of mention of it throughout the shows. There hasn't been really any changes so far throughout the shows, at least that I've been able to pick up and notice.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see what comes in the future. They might be just waiting to get done with Best of Super Juniors, and then get Dominion done, and then get Forbidden Door done before they really start moving and changing anything, because there's bang, 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 and then we're on to the G1. Yeah. And so they've got a period between, Forbidden Door and the G1, where if they were going to change anything, that would be probably the best time to do it. But I'm not super upset by it.
Yeah.
I've seen ownership changes before, and they've been fine. So
Sure.
I don't think this will be that crazy. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think New Japan's in for a better future, maybe. I know, Naito left because he was upset with a lot of people at Bushi Road. There have
Yeah.
been a lot of people that have left New Japan because of them being upset with people at Bushi Road, as well
Yeah.
as, the contracts. And so maybe this will kind of fix some of those issues. I feel like Naito's pretty locked in with Noah right now.
Sure.
He's actively building things for the future with Noah. So I doubt that he goes back to New Japan full time, but there are probably some other guys that have left New Japan because of, Bushi Road, and will come back now because Bushi Road's gone. So
yeah. So they were obviously regarding questions, but there've already been multiple statements saying that nothing, that the current plan is not changing to its business operations or live event schedule. Like none of those things are changing. So I think if there are going to be changes, it will be from like a broadcasting where to watch perspective, which will be interesting.
yeah.
Because look, I thought when Tony Khan, for example, bought Ring of Honor Club could be dead in years, like especially when they were shooting some of these pay-per-views on YouTube. I was like, this feels like a better pathway than Honor Club. But look, Tony realized that he has thousands upon thousands of subscribers to Honor Club. Why give away, like if he's value those subscribers, that's an extra money generating $10 a month for people. So it's gonna be interesting with the ownership where maybe they see the numbers of New Japan World and say, this is too good not to just, if it's such a money driver for them, there's really no reason to subsidize and just put it up with other things. It's very similar. I think it's $10 a month I'm paying for New Japan World. But I think, again, it's definitely a big deal. It's actually fun. We've seen a lot of ownership changes over the last like decade in pro wrestling, really since 2019-ish, where you have TKO, Mark Shapiro, Nick Khan running WWE, Tony Khan taking over for ROH. We've seen a lot of these companies, and now New Japan, a lot of these companies, these are the top companies going through wholesale, top of the food chain changes. So look, WWE, obviously they made huge changes. The network was gone. They're working with all these different platforms now. Ring of Honor, though, is saying the same from a business perspective. But yeah, I think we'll see. I still think they're going to keep New Japan World. I think they have plenty of subscribers where they can't just give that up. Because it's not just Japan subscribers they would be losing. They'd be losing.
Yeah, world subscribers. Yeah.
In America, it is really the only way
to watch New Japan
legally to watch the shows. It's a great deal. I tell people this all the time. Like it's $10 a month, but you're getting a lot of shows per month. Plus, the only pay-per-views you pay for are when they do US-based pay-per-views. Like Wrestle Kingdom is not. You don't have to pay for that. It just comes with it. So I try to tell people that like it is a really good deal. Just like ROH is, you get 4 shows a month, plus if there's a pay-per-view that comes with the $10 a month. So they both offer really good things. But
one thing I do hope with this sale, if they do keep New Japan World, I do hope they start uploading some more of the older New Japan stuff. Because like if you go back and look at
you can
even if you go back to look at the G1, they only have the finale up until I think 2015, 2016, and then you get a couple extra matches. And like some of them have like 1 or 2 extra matches in there.
Yeah.
But for the most part, you don't get, a majority of the tournament. Wrestle Kingdom's the same way. You go back and you can only get the main event. You miss, a mass majority of most of the shows. So I would love to see some of that stuff uploaded in an easy to access way, because I have found it other places, but I'd much rather just watch it on New Japan World.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, because that's an advantage that ROH has. They have all of their previous shows and pay-per-views up, like including the first All In. You can watch that on Honor Club with everything. They don't give you that vault of here's New Japan from 2016 and a bunch of their shows. I totally think they should do that. And look, ROH does a smart thing. Like if AEW guys are in the main event, like if it's Omega versus someone from Ring of Honor in the day. They said, oh, you want to see their like Jay White versus whoever? Here's Jay White showing up at MSG, and here's where you can watch Honor Club on this pay-per-view. I agree. I think New Japan should do that. I do think they just need to appeal more to the American viewership as well. That's what took a huge hit. They had so much American viewership from like 2012 to 2018, and that just all fell apart. And you just don't see, outside of our show and a couple others, just people talking about the product. And look, even Forbidden Door, it's the least talked about promotion of the three that they're teaming up with. Like Stardom's been mentioned heavily on TV. CMLL is getting that Mexico show. AW is going. Like, you're hearing a lot about CMLL and Stardom. You're not hearing a ton about New Japan, which I think we'll talk about more next week when we start talking about Dominion, what that means for Forbidden Door. And then I think the week after we'll do a full-on Forbidden Door, how it's going and leading into the Forbidden Door show. But it's interesting. It's definitely a wholesale change. Again, when anything happens with this, don't worry. We're going to break it down because I think I care. I think we both care very deeply about what's going to happen with the future of this company. I do want the wrestlers to be paid more, and I hope this change will help. I think people deserve the money. They need to be a competitive force in free agents. Because look, TNA is now a factor. MLW is now becoming a bigger thing over the last week or two. They have a lot of talent also, like Gallows and Anderson wrestle for MLW. They have a lot of Cross. They have a lot of the top free agents go there now. So it's not just New Japan and Ring of Honor now, like it was 10 years ago for talent. It's AEW, WWE, plus tons of other top American promotions. So that's all I want. I just want competitive salaries to where free agents go, oh, I'll go to Japan for a year and get some good salary to go there. But we shall see. Let's move on now to Best of the Super Juniors for our final 15, 20 minutes of the show. Blackhawk, you're Mr. Star Rating for my book. Dave Meltzer can have his own, but I think it's Blackhawk. But you have broken down the star ratings. I've seen you on your Instagram and Patreon and Twitter. You've been promoting it. That feels like every show you list all of the star ratings for all of these matches. So I'll break down some of the people. I'll let you break down some of the matches. I'll break down like people I was genuinely impressed with on this tour. So go into it. So tell me 2 to 3 matches that really wowed you in this tournament.
I think the biggest one that wowed me was it Master Wato and Kosei Fujita? Let me pull that up. It was a main event.
Yeah. That's the problem with this. There's like 20 dates to look through. Like
I've got to look through everything that I've done on here.
No rush.
Yeah, Robbie X and Kosei Fujita was also extremely good. Master Wato and Akira on that same night was very, very good. Let's see. This one? Yeah. Master Wato and Kosei Fujita on, what is this? Day 5. I gave it a 9.2, which is the highest rating of Best of the Super Junior for me, at least. I love that match. There's been a lot of good matches throughout Best of the Super Junior, but there's also been just a lot of just very average, very just match, and then you have like a really, really good one. Match.
Very formulaic. Yeah.
And so when you sit down and have to watch them all in succession, like I've had to do for the last couple of weeks, and some of them start to get really boring, but they're like decent. They're not bad matches. They're still decent. But yeah, there was a lot of good with Kosei Fujita, Robbie X, Master Wato had a good couple of them. But the guys that I really want to shout out that I thought had a great run, even though one of them didn't win a single thing, I want to shout out Taguchi and
he's not for me. I appreciate
I like Taguchi a lot. I feel like he has the right amount of goofy.
I don't mind.
Yeah. I feel like because like he's a good wrestler when you break it down to the core. He's
Sure.
very technically sound, but he also enjoys being goofy. And like I don't mind that because there are goofy wrestlers that are not technically sound and they're just comedy acts. But I think if he turns off the goofy for a little bit and just goes in on full on wrestling, he is one of the better juniors for New Japan. And then the other person I want to shout out is Daiki Nagai.
Yes.
Even though he did not get a single win.
Nope, of course not. I told you that was going to happen.
Yeah. I hoped he'd get at least one.
I told you he was getting zilch, buddy. Zilch.
But he came out every single night.
Yeah.
And just put it on the line like he was about to get fired if he didn't perform. So big shout out to him. A lot of good things will be coming from that young man's career, and I can't wait to watch it.
Awesome. That is great. Dude, this is great. I'll say people that you didn't mention. I just love Titan. I think he should be used way more in both CML and in this. Him and Jun Kasai, I thought, had probably the craziest match, like the ripping of the mask and the blood. And I'll say this about Jun Kasai. I thought my problem with him was if there was a New Japan show twice a week, I didn't mind every minute of his matches being extreme. When there were like 4 shows a week, it kind of became like, again, with Twigs. And I was like, and the last
very repetitive. Yeah.
Like you could, like, I think if you have 4 matches in a week, maybe 2 of them should go crazy and 2 should just be normal matches. I thought Nick Wayne had a really strong tournament. I thought he was even better than the year before. They gave him a lot of important matches. Like he was in the main event at Korakuen against Wado this past week. Like they're putting him in big spots. He got the tag also Tiger Mask throughout the tour, which is probably very cool for him. I love Akira, obviously. Robbie X, I thought, had the best. His matches were consistently great. Even like Will Ospreay was tweeting about this guy is the most underrated performer in the world. And I've said that here. I just love Robbie X. He's the guy who I could see being the first challenger after whoever is the new, because I don't think Doki's winning. Whoever beats Doki for the junior heavyweight tag title, I would give Robbie X a really fair shot at it. So Kushida was like mixed on going the no shoes old school route. It was very different for Kushida to do that. I was very mixed on it. I couldn't tell you if I enjoyed it or not, but it was certainly unique for him to do that. The person I would say was not as I hate to be this guy because I love him to death, but Despy didn't have like the greatest tournament for me.
I agree.
He's kind of just there this tournament. Like, I don't know. Like him, I thought Tatanen had a better showing with the Jun Kasai stuff than Despy, and Despy's supposed to be the death match guy. I don't know. Despy was kind of just there for me, which is very rare for me to say in a Best Super Junior, which is really a tournament made for him. What are your thoughts on that, I guess? I thought he was just there.
Yeah, I was kind of shocked at like the lack of, Despy involvement. I feel like because like you'd watch his matches and just be like, oh, that was it.
They were quick for sure.
Yeah, they were just quick, and they relied heavily on June for the hardcore stuff.
Yeah.
And so I feel like Despy kind of took a back seat and let June do all of that.
Agreed. Completely.
And so, I don't mind letting that happen, but it was also a little sad to just not really have a good Despy match out of the Best of Super Juniors. He had some decent ones, but it was nothing that really stood out.
Yep. I don't know. I thought also, let's say Robbie Eagles had a really good one as well.
Yes.
His match with Fujita today was excellent. Those guys are a great tag team. I actually for a second was like, is Robbie Eagles winning this match? Like Fujita won it last year. I was kind of thinking myself, man, Robbie's going to get a lot, but he did not, obviously. But I thought it was a nice semifinal. I think Daiki Nagai, that's just experience. Like put him in the ring for this month, and that they do that a lot. Usually not with G1, but with this, they like to give someone like that was really Nick Wayne, even though Nick Wayne won a lot last year. Young guy, get him in the ring, and I think it will only help him moving forward. Hayo, I don't know if he's like someone who popped for me much, or like Valiente, I thought was like okay in this tournament. Like again, that's the problem. Like Titan to me was the way better luchador wise than Valiant. Like Valiant, there was also a weird match. Valiente got hurt in like the second or third match. But
with Taguchi. Yeah,
and he wrestled. I think the next show.
I think what they said was it was a hematoma on the back of his knee, so they drained it, and he was pretty much fine. Yeah, so basically, yeah, he just had like a big like water fill up on the back of his knee, and he couldn't bend it. So when they drained it, he could move it again, and everything was okay.
It's weird to be injured in a match against Taguchi when you're not doing much.
Yeah, when it was even like it was in like 10 seconds too. It wasn't even that far into the match. It was just yeah.
Again, you know my opinion. I don't like House of Torture. I don't. Their matches are literally the same match every single show, which is show gets on the mic before the match. That kills 98% of the match, and then there's a roll up or there's a shenanigans. That's the problem when you do these tours. You're seeing a lot of the same stuff on every show, and it gets quite old, in my opinion. Yeah. Especially when you have two House of Torture guys. Now you're seeing double the shenanigans, double the interferences. We saw some DQs, which were not DQs. Like House of Torture would like hit or act like they got hit by something, and then they get to the babyface, and then the ref would be like, okay, ring the bell, and then the guy on House of Torture would win. That happened like 2 times this tournament. I thought this tournament didn't blow me away. Like I did think this could have reached, but I wasn't like pumped for this either. They don't really have a lot of their own juice right now in it. They have a lot of the same guys. Even Fujita, who seems young, which he is, he did win this tournament last year. Now, did they book him well after he won that? No. But that's why I'm hoping they give him kind of a second chance here on Sunday. But like you're talking about Yo again, who's always near the Final Four. Fujita, always now in the Final Four. It really was Eagles was the only guy who kind of was a new look they gave. Like I would have gone Robbie X going deep, like Final Four. Like that would have been more.
I think the problem is that block was so stacked.
It was stacked. We did talk about it before the tournament. That one block was specifically just way more stacked than the other.
Yeah, and so then you like kind of left with the other block is just kind of fill in.
Yeah.
And so I feel like if they could have maybe moved, Robbie X over to I think B block, because I think A block was the one that was really stacked.
Yeah.
If they could have moved him over to B block, we could be seeing, Robbie X and Master Wado going at it, and then Yo, and then whoever the finals.
I didn't find Yo and Wado to be that fascinating of a semifinal compared to Fujita and Eagles. To me.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet, but I've seen clips of both, and I can already tell Robbie and Fujita is going to be a clear better match.
Yeah, and that went on second to last, but I thought it was another mistake.
Yeah.
But it's this tournament. I think the fact that Doki is the champion doesn't get you thrilled either, because it's like House of Torture city right now. Like Naruku is more interesting than anything going on in House of Torture. I'll just say that Naruku. Let's talk about Yo versus Fujita. Yo has won this, I think, multiple times, 3, if I'm not mistaken. I forget how many times. There have been so many of these tournaments, and so many of the guys like Despy and Yo specifically, I think, have won it the most. I do think they should give Fujita a second look and have him win back-to-back years, beat Doki, and be the junior heavyweight champion for a bit. They have never pulled the trigger on him as a singles guy. You can say, oh, Max, he won the tournament last year. Yeah, but what, like...
They didn't do anything with him after that.
There wasn't even a junior heavyweight title match at Wrestle Kingdom this year. They did like a qualifying #1 contenders match where Doki, the whole bit was the champion doesn't give a crap about wrestling. So maybe we just pull the trigger on Fujita. Also, I don't want him losing to Yo in the final. Like if it was another like young guy, maybe, but no offense to Yo. He's kind of been there, done that. I don't need Yo versus Doki. that doesn't really give me any
Yeah.
excitement in the junior division at all.
Yo honestly kind of snuck up on me when they were announcing, like when we got to the point where they were doing, this is your final four.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, Yo. I was like, oh, I have not been paying attention to the points at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not very excited about Yo. I think Fujita definitely should win.
Yes.
And if this tournament's proved anything, is that Fujita is probably their best junior. And he needs that belt, and he needs to be defending it. Because he has had an incredible tournament, whereas a lot of the rest of the guys have just had subpar okay tournaments.
This title is never on any of these shows.
No.
Get this title off of Doki. Let's give a baby face a guy who wants to be on all the show. Like, I really thought this tournament would maybe try to rejuvenate things, but it felt very bland.
Yeah, I haven't watched a lot of Best Super Junior tournaments. I will go ahead and say that.
Sure.
But this one was not great in my opinion.
No.
And so it was just like, it was good, but that was like it. It was like we didn't have a lot of just stinker matches. Everything was pretty subpar. Just like what you would expect out of a New Japan show. Nothing, that's moving the needle really. Just 2 hours of matches, and then when you're done, and you move on to the next one.
Yeah, so if you look at the last couple years, it was Fujita last year. It was Desperado in 2024, Master Wado in 2023, 3 straight years of Hiromu. Osprey in 19, Hiromu 18, Kushida 17, Osprey in 16. So I'm just looking at the last 10 years. So you have 2 Ospreys, 4 Takahashis, you have a Kushida in there, you have a Wado, a Despi, and Fujita. A lot of those guys are still kind of like outside of Osprey, because it used to be a big deal. Like the next junior heavyweight would become a big star. Like that's how Prince Devitt was a junior heavyweight, won the Super Juniors in 2010. Ibushi won Best of Super Juniors 2011. Devitt won it again. Ricochet won it in 2014. Osprey 2016. I feel like they were like bridging the gap of here's our next big star. He's still not there yet, but we're just establishing him as a big deal. They don't really have that because they wasted Fujita winning it last year to not do anything with them, at least in my opinion. And then if you look at, I want to do this while I'm here, like look through who was actually, like I didn't feel like this was a fresh group of people in the tournament. So I just want to look up to make sure I'm right about that and look up the 2025 group. So last year, some people who were not in it. So Hiromu obviously was not in it this year. Clark Connors was not in it this year. They used Dragon Dia last year. They used Ninja Mac last year, and we thought Ninja Mac was awesome in Best Super Juniors. He had like viral moments in Best Super Juniors last year.
Yeah, Ninja Mac is always fun. Him being a junior did make me laugh because he's kind of a heavy set guy.
Yes. Kevin Knight was in Super Juniors last year. I'm trying to make sure and those are like the key people. So look, obviously they would have killed for Kevin Knight to be in this again, or Clark Connors. I just didn't feel the star power of, and look, they had Drilla Maloney, TJP for years before that. I don't know. There isn't especially like faction wise, there also isn't a lot of juice with some of these factions right now. Like, as I said, Unbound Company, like there's not like outside of, I would say, UE at this point, there's just not a lot of juice in any of these factions. Like I think TMDK is coming back. Zach is now back on the shows consistently. I think, and Fuji is probably going to win this. And I think Zach has a chance to have a big next couple months. Probably will get a big match at Forbidden Door and maybe have a deep run at the G1 again.
And shout out Shane Haste, the GHC champion, also TMDK member.
Yes. Who has an interview out already on Body Slam, so definitely check that out. But yeah, I don't know. There's not a lot of juice right now, is how I'm feeling. Luckily, Dominion is next week, and that is lined up to be a really, really, really big show for them. we'll break that down next week. So we both, I think, are picking Fujita to win this tournament.
Yeah.
I honestly would be unhappy if it's Yo. Like, if it's Yo and Doki, I'm like, really? Like,
yeah, and it's like, it's no disrespect to Yo.
It's not. He's
all.
good. I like him a lot.
He's very good. Yes, but Fujita is the clear choice in this situation. It's so if Geto picks anything other than Fujita, we need to boot him out the chair. Like, we've got to take his pencil. Like, they've got to find somebody else to do this. But yeah, Fujita is like the clear cut choice for this to beat Doki, hold the junior title for, a couple of months, defend it, at least once or twice a month.
Yeah.
They run 2 shows a week. He can defend it, every other week and be fine. And so I don't know. It just makes the most sense, which sometimes in wrestling is not always what happens. So
I'm not this we need some juice, we need some new stars is my truth. And the new juice and the new stars is Fujita at this point, who feels like should have been built as a star now. I think since we started this podcast, like, since we've been talking New Japan for like a year now, we've been banging on the table, just push Fujita. And I don't remember if he even won at the Tokyo this year, but we were like, why is he not the champion at this point? And here we are. Hopefully he wins, and we're praising him winning and hopefully beating. Because I think this match is happening at Dominion, right? The junior title match, isn't it?
It should happen at Dominion, I believe.
They haven't listed it on the page as it's happening there,
Yeah.
but I can't imagine they're going to hold off that match for like months.
Yeah.
So
No,
I assume that will be
I'm assuming it's at Dominion. I've been checking to see if they've updated the website.
They have the road to G1. I can't imagine they're doing it, dropping it on the road to G1. So yeah. And again, it's exciting. This Sunday they're going to be at Tokyo at the Ota City General Gymnasium for the finals of the Best of Super Juniors, Yo and Fujita. Next Sunday is Osaka Joe Hall Dominion. What a card right now. We're going to break that all down next week. But yeah, I wish I had more stuff to say. I just didn't think I thought it was a very uninspired tournament. There was good matches, but it felt like I was watching the same show every show, which was the first 7 matches of a 10-card show would be 5 to 7 minutes long. And then the last 3 matches would be 10 to 15 minutes. And then House of Torture matches were the same. Jun Kasai's matches were all the same. So it felt a lot of like deja vu, like this again, Yeah,
and I feel like the whole tournament, nothing really pushed anything outside of the tournament. Like, there was no underlying stories that didn't happen within the tournament bubble, and there was no stories that were being pushed from the tournament out into, regular New Japan TV. And so I don't know, it's just kind of a dud. Just a little.
Yeah. A lot of their juniors have now become heavyweights too now. They didn't really get much help. They got help from CMLL, but like AEW only sent Nick Wayne, who again I think had a good tournament, but again he was used last year, so it did feel like I was watching like the same tournament from like a year ago.
I feel like AEW doesn't just really have like a lot of juniors that they could just up and send either.
I would have,
because like
if Leo wasn't being used as much as he was, I would have probably sent him. But guys, he is getting so over. They can't really just send him for a month too.
And like Darby Allin fits that description of a junior, but he's like at the top of their card right now. They can't just send him for Best of Super Juniors. Kevin Knight would have been a great choice, but he's like mid-story with Speedball, the TNT Championship. It's like I can't even think of anybody else that would like really fit. I think Speedball has gone over to the heavyweight side. Maybe the
Because they sent
the distinction of a junior and heavyweight for New Japan is literally just, are you a junior? So they could have sent really anybody that isn't like 6'5", 280. Like they just,
I agree.
It's regular looking guys.
Yeah, look, they had Kevin Knight last year, but at that time Kevin was like, I think he was signed to both companies, if I'm not mistaken, at the time of that. So I just think when you do these tournaments, you want to look like a year ago and say, here we are evolving. And I just feel like they're in the same exact place where they were a year ago after this tournament's over, this was usually one of my favorite divisions. And they really don't have any star power. Like Despy doesn't feel as big of a deal as he was 3-4 years ago. Yo was in that class, even though I think Despy can still go. As I said, it was a very forgettable tournament. So that's how I feel. But I'm still pumped for like the G1. I'm really pumped for Dominion. But right now I can't get, and because I don't think they've even announced who's in the G1 yet. So
no, not yet.
We'll do that. We'll do that at Dominion probably.
Yeah, I've been paying attention to that because I'll be in Chicago for the opening. I'm getting there early Friday because they're doing a like presser and like a fan kind of meet and greet thing.
Yeah.
And so I will be all over that.
And I'm pumped to see your coverage for both yourself and for Body Slam. That's very, very exciting, especially for our podcast. That's a huge deal for you to be going.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
So I can't wait because that's in a month or two. Like when is that officially?
I think it's less than a month because it's on the 10th
of July.
Yeah, July. So yeah, it's a little over a month.
Yeah, how about that? Yeah, G1 is July 11th. So yeah, we're closing in on being a month away. That's very, very exciting. The G1 in the United States for the first time. Can't wait for you to be there. Watch 10 amazing matches. We're going to have tons of coverage, guys. Don't worry. We're going to be back to our usual Fridays, 6 to 7 for you guys. So next week, we'll break down the finals of Best Super Juniors, what we thought of the result in the match. But it really will just be a full-on preview show for Dominion. And if anything happens on Dynamite, setting up Forbidden Door, revolving around New Japan, we will break it down. We're not here to break down like the Stardom or the CML aspect of Forbidden Door. We'll break down the New Japan aspect if there's going to be a heavy focus on these guys. They have not even mentioned New Japan on TV since the Forbidden Door has been announced. So who knows? Suji has crapped on the company a lot, so I can't imagine they're going to put Suji on the show, but we'll see.
That would be the ultimate. Like Suji's got to do Forbidden Door against Gabe Kidd.
Suji's got to wrestle MJF. Wow.
Yeah. Honestly, that would be a great match.
It would. I think they're going to. I'll bet you they'll definitely gonna have the big United Empire people on the show doing something. Even though it'll be funny because Ospreay is basically a member of the Death Riders at this point.
Yeah, he swapped his gear to black. I was like, oh, he's in now.
He's in. He's in. But which I think is the most fascinating thing on their show right now. But I'm happy. In fact, I don't have to watch SmackDown today. I already watched it on the VPN, so I'm all set to go tonight. Blackhawk, tell people where they can find you and everything with Body Slam and stuff like that.
You can find me at Blackhawk Walker on all social media platforms other than Instagram. On Instagram, it is the Blackhawk Walker. I also have been posting, as you said earlier, match ratings on Patreon. It is also under Blackhawk Walker. All the rest of my Best of Super Junior ratings will be out by Sunday. I'm trying not to just spam them all, but I've been saving them to post after the show finishes. So we'll release them in a timely manner before the finale Sunday. So be checking on that if you're interested, as well as the Noah Tag League that will be coming out almost in tandem because I'm behind posting a bunch of those, as well as the Emerald Arc, my Noah focused podcast that I do by myself on my own YouTube. It also gets posted on my Patreon. This will also be on the Patreon in a little bit. So if you are looking for anything I'm in, you can pretty much find it on the Patreon or on my Instagram or Twitter.
Fantastic. Follow me on Twitter, Max Dinnerberg. On Instagram, Dinnerberg Max on Twitter. I'm still posting highs and lows. I'm not doing one today, but I'll be back doing that tomorrow for Collision. I'm also going to be busy. If you guys can follow us on TikTok and Instagram, I posted some videos of me covering AW Dynamite here in Philadelphia last Wednesday. A lot of those videos going pretty big, so please go check out those videos. I'm going to be busy covering some wrestling shows next week. I'll be covering MLW here in Philadelphia for 2 shows. I'll be covering TNA next month here in Philadelphia, and then I'll be SmackDowns here in early August. So it's like 4 straight months of me going to shows, which is pretty phenomenal. So I'm happy to be busy. So I'll be doing that for Body Slam Plus. Trying to think that big weekend, by the way, please stay tuned. In 3 weekends away, you're going to have my, well, actually, what we think actually, no, it's in July. So June 27th, you'll get my post show for King of the Ring and Queen of the Ring. 28th, even though there's 3 big shows that day, Slammiversary, Great American Bash, and Forbidden Door, Blackhawk and I will be doing the review for Forbidden Door. Midnight, as always, into the mornings in late June. So I know it's June 5th, and that's like, God, no one wants to think about the end of the month already. But end of the month, we're going to be here for the post shows for Forbidden Door and King and Queen of the Ring. Ton of good stuff for Body Slam. Please support the website. We have a lot of hardworking people trying to put up articles consistently, including I'm going to be writing now for the next couple of days. So please make sure you're supporting everyone here at Body Slam who's still here. Like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel. And guys, we're here every single Friday, 6 to 7 Eastern, covering all things New Japan Pro Wrestling on Not So Young Lions. See you guys soon, guys. See ya.